Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between Sjow versus MYM's XLord here on Tal'Darim Altar. We see XLord spawning as the red Zerg on the top right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, we have Sjow spawning on the top left hand side of the map as the blue Terran. Terran versus Zerg here on Tal'Darim Altar, and based upon the positions, it may be a little bit difficult for XLord to actually establish a third base over here. It is going to be expanding closer to his opponent. He is going to have to try to defend more ground, but we'll see whether or not he's going to be able to overcome a little bit of a setback or a little bit of bad positionings here in this Zerg versus Terran. The benefit, though, is that if his opponent did spawn down over here, siege tanks would be able to siege up here and then hit the high ground here. So both ways, Terrans are pretty much slightly ahead in this map, it almost feels like, except for on cross spawns. But then again, I need to take a look at the numbers on the actual racial matchups to see if this is a Terran favorable map. Now, as the game continues, we'll see what's going to go down here. We're going to see what SCV just continuing to mine away as we are now going into perhaps a fast hatchery and a fast command center. I don't see a barracks as of yet. It doesn't look like an SCV is even moving out to build a barracks. So it's going to be a command center first and a hatchery first, it looks like, for both of these players. Now, Sjow is going to be able to train up a lot more units right behind that command center, as the command centers are each going to be able to train up, I believe, about 6 SCVs each, or I believe 8 SCVs each per game minute. But then again, the hatcheries will need some queens in order to increase their production and also allow for more overlord training, as Zerg players are more larva limited than anything else. SCV now making his way down over here. It looks like it is going to be a fast command center followed by a racks and a barracks it is here. So one barracks already being placed down. A second barracks may be added as well. As you can see that there is really still some SCVs being trained, but not much going beyond that. SCV is still being trained. It looks like it is going to be a very, very heavy barracks build, as we now see that XLord has spotted the command center. A drone now making his way over, as we are going to be going into a supply depot and perhaps another barracks as well to try to finish off this wall in. And it looks as though Sjow may be a little bit supply blocked for a small amount of time. No, not going to be supply blocked all too much, as he already has this supply depot up and running, and a drone now trying to harass this SCV. This SCV still wandering around, and it looks like a fresh SCV is going to be able to come in. The drone now trying to get in even more damage. It looks like the command center already at only 5 seconds away from being completed, as this SCV is going to now return all the way back home down to 5 hit points. SCVs may come over to try to repair as a new SCV comes in on this engagement, and that's going to be bad as the SCV is getting so close to death, down to 5 hit points. But now in comes a Marine, and the Marine is able to save that SCV. Very nice micro coming in from Sjow in order to stop any crazy aggression. Now, a little bit curious as to why XLord is actually going for the extractor trick here. Really no reason to try to block your opponent's gas at this stage. It is going to be lost minerals, but these Marines will be forced to shoot at this extractor time and time again. We are going to be getting a barracks, and I'm surprised that Sjow only went for 1 barracks. This is a little bit of a riskier build, but perhaps he scouted out or suspected that his opponent is going for a hatchery first and knew that there wasn't going to be that many Zerglings. This is something that the build order most likely would change when going up against a Protoss, as Protoss would be able to charge up the ramp rather easily with Zealots, as we are now going into Reactor Hellion play. Factory coming in, barracks coming in as well. Zergling, Roach is already out for XLord though, so XLord looking to just damage and punish those roaches. I believe those roaches are going to be able to attack the front door here while staying out of range of that bunker, and that is going to be huge, forcing perhaps these buildings to lift off, and then these bunkers are going to be very much exposed to any Zergling engagement. You can now see 6 roaches making their way out. XLord is behind on harvesters, 25 to 28 now. But what he is behind on, he is going to instead just benefit from the fact that he is now getting a lot of roaches here. You can see that the bunker is trying to shoot back at these units, but the roaches are just going to be able to attack at the supply depots, attack at the reactors, and now SCVs are forced to come off the mineral line. Roaches now trying to make their way over. We'll see if it does anything, as well as Marines are getting taken down. slowly but surely the Roaches up on the high ground. Another round of Marines gonna go after that Zergling there, and now you can see that the barracks are being lifted off. This one reactor looks like it will get taken out. There it goes. And now the barracks being destroyed as well. So very early aggression coming in from XLord, dealing some damage, taking down a supply depot, a reactor, and forcing a barracks to lift off. The Roaches, all they can really do now is hope to just fight back at the barracks here and then force Hellions to engage. The Marines are trying to get close enough to actually fight here as the Roaches are dancing back and forth. You can see that the barracks is already down to 700 some odd hit points. The front door now completely almost wide open as XLord needs to pull back with these Roaches and perhaps be a little bit more careful. Harvester count now 34 to 34, and XLord is still droning up behind this very nicely as it looks like one Roach may get taken down. Yes, one Roach does get taken down, but Marines are also getting taken out in this exchange. Hellions looking to come back in, but the Roaches do have are armored and do not take any additional damage from those Hellions with a base 1 armor as well, meaning that those Hellions don't really do all too much damage. You can see that the Hellion being forced to pull back there as the Roaches look to perhaps retreat. We are teching the tier 2. There are overlords all across the map in very specific locations to keep track of where Sjow is, as we now see a 40 drone to 34 SCV advantage. Zerg making sure to punish Sjow for that fast expansion attempt, and it really does, trying not to be punny here, but it really does show. Now, Harvester count is at 51 to 38, and this is the situation where Sjow or XLord needs to take down these rocks, and he wants to establish up a third base, but the problem is that he is not going to be able to easily defend this location, but it looks as though Sjow instead is going to try to clear out his own destructible rocks as he is already upgrading to an orbital command. Hellions now running all the way back. They will be coming inside or up that ramp in just a moment. There are queens in position, laying down creep tumors and getting Roaches. We are not, I do not believe we have the Glio reconstitution. No, not quite yet, as the Hellions are now going to that all-important third base. XLord should be able to build that up with no issue. The Hellions did spot it. XLord, I do not believe, spotted those Hellions, though. So he does not know that those Hellions are currently on the map and know about that third base. Orbital command should be making its way down over here in just a moment. Siege tank and Marines attempting to take down those rocks in a matter of seconds. Overlord in position here as well, just spewing creep up onto the high ground or over here, making sure that there is no command center able to be established. It is going to be 3 bases to 3 bases here in just a moment, as XLord does spot the siege tank and the Marines taking down these rocks. Hatchery already about 2/3 of the way completed, as we are also getting a macro hatch coming in from XLord. XLord opting to go for a macro hatch in between these 2 bases, so he's not going to have to lay down creep tumors. He's going to have easy access, and then the Roaches are all going to just train up rather quickly as well. As you can now see, 4 hatcheries, all these rally points, just making a very interesting diagram indeed. Zerglings now looking to run all the way across the map here. We can see that the Overseer is currently or took a little bit of damage from Marines, but the Overseer is still up on that high ground, now hidden out of the way. Zerglings off over here may not be able to morph into Banelings for quite some time, as we don't have a Banelings nest, and now the Marines gonna clean up a few free Zerglings. Taking a look at the situation, XLord is going into more Queens, also going into Infestors and Spine Crawlers at the natural expansion, as those Infestors should be able to... Oh, actually, I thought I saw Infestors. Was that my imagination? I believe it was my... No, Infestation Pit is down, so perhaps I did see Infestors for just a split moment there, as there is an Overseer up on the high ground. Drones and a siege tank now making their way out. Zerglings and Roaches are off over here. The Infestors are already on the field. And oh, a fungal growth. One more fungal growth, and that will be a whole bunch of dead Marines. Look at that. So many Marines just completely getting destroyed. 12 kills on an Infestor this early in the game. Really worth it, as the Roaches were trying to test that front door. wasn't really able to do much about that, as now the siege tanks are going to be forced to pull back without that many Marines, or that many Marines killed pretty needlessly. But XLord now overexposing himself, going to lose all of his Roaches on the front here. There it goes. And now Sjow with a very easy counterattack over here on the front door, as we are now going into a Ghost Academy. We also are going into Hive Tech by XLord. So XLord looking to perhaps use more Ultralisk. The Roaches now simply too far in front of them, as we are now seeing more creep tumors being laid down. We are expanding here to the 3 o'clock position, a very important location to expand to, as changelings are now being added to the rest of the group, and I don't believe Sjow is actually going to spot this. He's going to spot this one changeling, but he's not going to spot this changeling sitting here. So nicely done use of the changelings, as now you can see Sjow or XLord trying to fly away with this Overseer. Overseers are expensive. You cannot afford to lose them that needlessly, as now the Overseer is down to 50 hit points, down to 32, and it looks like it will park itself off over there and be able to regenerate the hit points and perhaps come in and do a contamination as well. Marines and siege tanks now on the move. The infestors may get off a fungal growth. There's a fungal growth, but down goes an infestor in that exchange, as the Marines are now going to clear up some of these creep tumors. Infestors do have a decent movement speed on creep, the same movement speed as stimmed Marines. Very, very fast indeed. Something to be careful about, or about the same movement speed. About the same, yeah. No, it's actually a little bit slower. My apologies. That was before the infestors' movement speed got nerfed a little bit a couple months back. Siege tanks now looking to blast forward here. Going to take down a lot of these creep tumors, but a fungal growth does hit. There you go. One more fungal growth should do it, and now even more Marines getting taken out. Roaches finishing off the rest of these units, as you are now going to see perhaps the Roaches try to push forward. No, don't want to. Simply too many siege tanks. 6 siege tanks here, but Zerglings now coming around the far side and now catching some of these units in transit. Some Marines now being forced to pull back, as the Harvester kill count still relatively low. Marines on the high ground here. Sjow just pushing forward with a very, very large army, and this is just impressive at this stage. We'll see what exactly XLord can do. He does have an Ultralisk Cavern. He is going into 3 upgrades and also getting Adrenal Glands. Roach is now pushing again. There is another round of fungal growth. Roaches trading against Marines, as the Roaches are just trying to sacrifice themselves for more siege tanks. Production tab shows a lot more siege tanks now being added. Ultralisk finally be joining in on this fight. You can see a Queen about to be added over here as Zerglings are running across the map. One Hellion was looking for a new expansion and didn't spot it, so that was very important, as another Hellion going to get taken out as well. XLord now up to 162 food, training 20 food of Zerglings, and 36 food of Ultralisks, as the Zerglings now looking to do a quick run by, and it will be able to run straight into the space, going after those SCVs, going after those mules. Zerglings now being forced to attack the bunker, as the Zerglings are now just destroying many of these SCVs. More Marines trying to come over. It looks like some worker kills, a little bit more worker kills, not very many, but the Zerglings are just very annoying at this stage in the game, as the Zerglings did burrow in the back. Siege tanks and Marines still pressing forward, playing hopscotch, but XLord is going to have a large number of units, and here they come. Ultralisk now making their way through. Infestors coming in from behind. Where is that fungal growth? Oh, an EMP shockwave from Sjow, doing a great job destroying, or just essentially eliminating all of the infestors. Ultralisk now chomping away at the bit. It looks like one Ultralisk may get taken down. 2 Ultralisks get taken down there, as the siege tank up on the high ground, but the Ultralisk attacking so quickly, as the Ultralisk unable to get close here from the low ground, cannot attack up onto the high ground, even though I believe it does have a range of 1. Still cannot attack uphill like that. We can see now Zerglings looking to swarm in, and they are going to be able to surround and take down many more siege tanks. 1 Ultralisk does get taken out, but we are at 162 versus 152, as more Ultralisks now being added. 86 drones, not that, or a decent number of drones here, now 9, as another hatchery should be established either here or here sometime soon. Zerglings are still burrowed inside this mineral line here, and it is still 4 bases to 3. So far throughout this matchup, I still have yet to see 1 Mutalisk. Very, very interesting, as there are no Mutalisks in this game, when a lot of Zerg players really favor Mutalisks, but then they have to deal with those Marines and Thors. Ultralisk now doing a great job just being able to push back this attack force here, as we now see Marines making their way over. There is 1 Zergling currently burrowed. It is scanner sweeped, and there it goes. Marines deciding to walk around once again. We can see that there is a hatchery about a quarter of the way completed, or a third of the way completed, as the Zerglings are still running across the map. Sjow with a very large army, up to 186 compared to XLord's 160. XLord, however, getting a lot of spine crawlers. And where are those spine crawlers? 5 spine crawlers here, plus a spire. So XLord opting to hide his spire nowhere near the rest of his tech, and it may come as a big surprise, as XLord also burrowing around with a bunch of infestors. Planetary Fortress is being established. You can see Zerglings still making a quick run across the field. Ultralisks are fully upgraded, dealing 47 damage per attack with a base of 6 armor. And that is going to be very formidable, as the Marines are only going to be able to do 2 damage per shot. Ultralisks still running around. You can see that the medevacs are in the air off over here. XLord now upgrading to a greater spire, as now we have an engagement in the center. There's the fungal growth. Are we going to perhaps get another fungal growth, as the Ultralisks are getting choked up on themselves, but they are chomped away through the majority of this army here. You can see that the Marauders just getting destroyed, as more Marines now making their way over. You can see that there's 1 full medevac in this group, and now the Zerglings and even the Ultralisks looking to perhaps butt up against this Planetary Fortress. This is not going to be good news, though. SCVs coming over to repair. It looks like the Ultralisks are going to be able to start slicing through with that splash damage, as we also see Zerglings finishing off that over here. Now more, and SCVs are trying to repair. A lot of SCVs are getting taken down in the process, as the Ultralisks are just slicing through them. Oh, 1 more attack would have taken down a multiple number of SCVs. Very lucky by Sjow, but XLord still coming back with a very large number of Ultralisks and taking down some units in transit. The Ultralisks down to... the Ultralisks, some of them are low on hit points, are going to take a bit of splash damage, as the Ultralisks now once again chomping away at the bit. It looks like the Planetary Fortress down to 400, 300, as the Zerglings are now putting pressure in the main base. Siege tanks not going to be enough to handle all of these Ultralisks, especially with so much splash damage going up against the rest of those SCVs there. Now, it looks like no more expanding at the natural expansion, no more mining at the 4th base, as Zerglings are now putting pressure at the 3rd. Infested Terrans have spawned, and XLord coming back from being behind to take Game 1 in this series, not even really utilizing his greater spire. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, hope you guys enjoyed Game 1 in this series.